All right, good night, everyone. Welcome to the Living Well show, where we have holistic conversations that inspire healing, hope, and transformation with your hosts, Dr. Albert and Shanique Tompkins. Good night, I am Shanique.
Good night. I am Dr. Albert.
And we thank you for joining us on this wonderful November 15th. It is the middle of the month already. We're going full speed ahead into holiday season. And with that in mind, I'm excited about tonight's show. So, Dr. Albert, go ahead and introduce our guest.
I sure will. So, like she said, this is the week before Thanksgiving. And so it's the start of the eating season, the holiday season. And, the question becomes, how do you maintain a healthy lifestyle, wellness eating in the midst of this holiday season? And tonight we have our expert. We have with us Chef Yvette Tompkins. And Chef Yvette is the owner of Artiz Everything LLC, located in Washington, D.C., USA. It's a company that embodies the idea of taking care of you from the inside, then out. So that means eating healthy, organic, clean foods for your temple. And then also means great relationships on the outside, joy, finances, a wonderful lifestyle, and good home cooking environment. And all these combinations means you have a healthy lifestyle. So welcome, Chef Yvette, and welcome to the Live Well Show. So go ahead and greet the people, please.
Hello, everyone, and happy holidays coming. And I'm Yvette Tompkins from Artiz Catering and Events and Interior Design. I also have a company, soulfooddc.com, and take care of yourself from the inside and then out is actually trying to put a lot of herbs and nutrients and inside the body, and so it can reflect on the outside. It means hair. A lot of people used to ask me when I was a hairstylist, how do you make my hair grow? It's not grease or oils or pomades. It's what you eat in the inside, like the wheatgrasses, the cumin, all the natural elements. So a lot of that is attributed and distributed in my cooking. And so I just want to help people try. Now the holidays is when we binge,
Yeah,
but there are ways to make it less fattening, less sugar, less salt. And I want to be able
awesome.
to share that with you.
Well, great. Welcome, welcome. And so tell us about your journey as becoming a chef, and where does your passion come from?
Well, my passion comes from my grandfather was a soul food chef, and he did a lot of food, and his sisters and everything for the church. And we used to go there as a kid, and when he would drop off those pies, and all the people would wait in line, for his food. I don't eat chitlins, but people were in line for that, and they were so happy and amazed. And when he would set the table for Thanksgiving, and different people came over because he invited everybody. He would say, "Tell Sister Joe to come over." He was a cab driver as well. "Oh, you can come over to my house," and people were so happy. And it was a time when the family got together, the cousins, people came from out of town, and I always attributed to everyone was so happy because family was together. And not to mention the food was like excellent,
Hmm.
but it was more so the joy of breaking bread together, seeing your elders that you haven't seen, and get them dressed up. So my passion derived from that. And then my mom, being the oldest, she wanted to break out of eating all the heavy soul food, and she became a vegetarian. She grew her own
Hmm.
vegetables. She went to the market, and we used to drive far out to get herbs. And she was like, "Oh, we got to do sea moss." And now people make sea moss like a big thing. But I
Yeah.
kind of grew up with, oh, I would get sick, and she was like, "I'm gonna make you some golden seal tea with honey." And
Hmm.
I've always had roots. I was like, this is disgusting, but I felt better afterwards. My hair was always growing, and my skin was well. And I kind of like say, how do I infuse the two? Like my grandfather's soul food was like hands down. But I
Hmm.
watched him do yams and things with honey, sugar, all this. And then I was like, whoa. And most of the people in my family uh, had diabetes.
Hmm.
So, in learning about diabetes, seeds and educated myself over the years. And my mother was like, "Oh, you can take some sunflower seeds or some parsley flakes." And I started saying, "Wow, maybe there is a way to get that taste without
Mm.
the number one killer, sugar,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and salt." And so
Mm.
I started playing around with that at a really young age. I started cooking.
Wow. So you've gotten it on both sides. Well, from your generationally, because from your grandfather and then from your mother bringing in the natural aspect of it. So you had this natural inclination to cook. Now, did you go on to get formal studies or have you trained yourself? Or tell us about that part of your journey.
I think that the best study I had is because Granddaddy cooking every Sunday. He cooked every day, but Sundays he had to snap peas and wash this and cut greens. And so, all the aunts were doing it, and then I would be doing something. I watch him roll out dough and mix flour, and I was like, wow. A lot of the cousins used to run, like, he's going to ask us to do something. I was like, I want to do it. Oh, that's amazing. And then watching my mother trying to make, she had to bring dishes over, and she would say, cut up this and cut up that, and give me some fennel seed and some cumin seed, and we're going to use mustard, and we're going to and I was like, and she never, and I appreciate this because being a young child, she used to try to find time to spend with me after working all day. So she would be in the kitchen, and I was like, "What are you making?" You know how some parents may say, "Girl, get out of the kitchen," and she would say, "I'm going to roll some. I'm scraping this vanilla stick to
Mm.
make some biscuits," and she would say, "You can help." And she
Mm.
used words like this rosemary, it was in the garden, and this is basil. We gotta clean it and soak it and chop it up. And most parents say get out, and I was like, Mommy, I can do it. And then I remember one Christmas at 6 years old, I wanted an easy bake oven, so I told everybody, like all my aunts, and on their list, and I got three. And I was like, oh
Oh,
my God.
wow.
They were like, we're gonna give one away. And I was like, no, no, because I have to prepare all this food.
Right.
And I used one for cakes and trying to take some of my grandfather's little drippings from him making cakes and pies. And when I read the package that the Easy Bake Oven gave you for the cake, my mother was like, all that artificial stuff. So I started getting the real stuff and then
Wow.
using another one to make some bacon or the other one to cook some vegetables in. And I used to always say, I made you breakfast. And so I started experimenting with things that I heard them talk about all the time.
Well, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story.
Yes, yes. And it's amazing how these memories can shape our adult life and our adult walk. And so, just that time in the kitchen with your mother and the time with your grandfather has now allowed you to start a company where you're helping to feed others. And so, that's Art is Everything.
Yeah.
So, tell us about Art is Everything. How did you come up with the concept? What do you do? Share about Art is Everything.
So I will say this though, I did go to school for things that I think are necessary, like bacteriology, how to
Mm.
store food properly and clean it. Even though I knew how to clean, but I wanted to get licensing on, and I learned a lot, like how to store food and pack, and how to label, and what's the life of shellfish, and how do you separate the red meat from it. So I did go to school for that, and I recommend any home chef they could take classes online about that because that's important.
Mm.
But artists came about because I'm an artist and I've never really been good with paperwork and things. You see how long it took me to get on this. But when it comes to decorating, I went to school for fashion merchandise and design, and then I went to hair school. And
Okay.
I'm a creative. And my first opportunity getting out of fashion merchandise in school is I worked for Mastercraft Interiors and Marlowe Furniture. And I was one of the ladies that did the showrooms to
Mm.
decorate it. And it was funny because I went there to shop and I heard them say, we need another person. They were setting up something. And I said, so what do you need to do this? I'm in school. I was in school. And they said, oh, you got to show us how you do a showroom. And I said, well, when can I do it? And they said, well, you can come tomorrow. I said, I can do it today. I just came in here to shop. Like, not even knowing where anything was. And I styled this room that they gave me, and I just like to move furniture around. That's another talent. I did it. I was an only child, so they say my mother used to say, "God, you need." We're watching a movie, and you're upstairs sneaking, moving all the furniture around in the living room. Or I was a Barbie doll girl, and I had all the Barbie houses, so I decorated them, like not with the stuff they sold. I painted them, or I made the furniture. So that was a part of my art, and I was a really, my mother said bougie, but it wasn't that. Like if she made breakfast and she put my stuff all together, touching, I was like, oh no, I want to put this on this plate, and I want to separate this because I wanted to use the pretty dishes, you know. And
Right.
so it was just something that I did, and I did all my cousin's hair. So I kept saying, well, what do I want to do? I happened to be blessed to be a hairstylist for 20 years. I did windows for 10. But in all of that, in everything that I did, I was always blessing people with food. Like, oh, I'm going to bring you something. I cooked something last night, whether it be a coworker, a manager, a friend. If my girlfriends had birthday parties, I was like, let me cook. And it would be over the top. And so at one point I said, you know what? I cook for everybody. I got to start charging because I'm
That's
spending
right.
all my paycheck on food because I love to see people eat and I love to see them happy about it, and I like to set the stage for the room. And so it was a passion. And so I had to figure out what would my name be? Yvette Interiors, hairstylist. How do I, like the lady that's actually taping is a vegan chef, right? So I attract people
Okay.
Nice.
that do creative things. And I was like, you know, people are really big on me, my, like when they name the salon, they name it Yvette's. Or, but then you got to think about it, you have all these other creatives working for you. And so when you name your place your name and it's yours, a lot of people on their journey that need their own self identity, they say, I want my own salon because I wanted to say Lisa's. So I say, how do I make a name that is for all artists that
Okay.
they will feel welcome in the place because this art is an artist you, artist me, artist them, you know, everybody, where it's
Nice.
signifying the art of that thing. So the company's name is Artists Everything LLC, which means the first where I started was Artists Culinary, is taking care of yourself from the inside and out. Artists Hair, Makeup, and Fashion, and Artists Interiors, because food, the primary food is what we have on the plate. I mean, and then we have secondary food, which is interiors. Like if you wake up in a junky, cluttered house, sometimes you're not in a great mood. So secondary food is love. And like when I see people eating, I did an event Saturday, and it was for a 40-year-old birthday, and there were two cousins and both turning 40, and they didn't have an expectation of what I was going to do. Everybody kept coming up to me saying, oh my God, this is real food. This food is amazing. And that was it for me. That was the joy. And then the elder ladies came up and said, you ain't cooked this food. Somebody's grandmother cooked this food. And then they were so happy. And then I was forced to do something that I never really do. They were like, can I pack a plate? So I'm sitting here
Wow.
going, that's not fashionable to take plates. But I had to go ask the host, like, look, do you mind? He said, well, that's my aunt. And then this person was like, my uncle. And they got overwhelming. But they were like, this food is so delicious. I normally wouldn't do this, but I want to go home and sit down and really, really enjoy it. And then I got so many text messages the next day. So that's what I do it for. Like, sometimes I lose track of the money. Like, if I get paid, I might end up spending all of it because I want every aspect to be, you know, I want everything covered, you know.
Okay.
And
Right.
then in reward, where I might say, Dad, I really didn't make any money. But when you, like a lot of people say I'm wealthy, my wealth is all those happy faces. Like, and it never fails. God always does this for me. If I didn't make a profit, and that was my fault, it wasn't that the person didn't pay, I just had to do extra. I get phone calls the next day, all throughout the week. I'm having something. Can you cater it? And then that's
Wow.
my opportunity where I'm like, dang, I got 3 more referrals. Not from anybody else, just from what they said
Right.
we do. And so that's the
Awesome.
blessing in it. That's why it's Artiz Everything LLC, and it has everything which brings me joy over time. And I try to attract
Awesome.
people that's in the same field, you know, because wellness is family, relationships,
Yeah.
your social
Yeah.
life, your religious practice, whatever that may be, and your comfort level, So I meet people that do the same thing.
Okay. That's a wonderful answer. I appreciate that. And so you, in that description, you talked about eating healthy, eating clean. So what do you mean by that? What's your perspective, especially during the holidays? What does that mean to you?
Well, I think that the main thing that tradition is different. Like when they say, what is it like your soul food or your comfort food? I've
Right.
learned from meeting people all over the world, like in China, their comfort food may be a soup, like an egg drop soup,
Mhm.
and they say mac and cheese or something is ours. If you meet a person that's from another country, they might say, well, my comfort food is eel. Like that's what we
Right.
do.
That's
So
true.
for me, if I looked at my family background with my aunts baking breads and cakes and pies, and some of them live really long, so that's kind of, it's when they say you don't live long when you eat all this clogged up arteries, but they live to their 90s and 100s. But
Yep.
a lot of that has to do with old school people live with their daughters, their family, their grandkids. So that's that part of relationship that keeps you living long. Because if a grandmother
Hmm.
can go see her little grandbaby, what I say that eating healthy is this: we put way too much food on our plate. We can cook
Mm.
all our traditional things. We put way too much seasoning and way too much
Wow.
salt. So I wanted to do a demonstration today, but time got away from me, and I'm such a perfectionist. So just say, for instance, if you're making collards and you're making kale,
Okay. Right.
a lot of the soul food restaurants, I watch them. I worked at many restaurants, and I'm not naming any names because everyone has their brand. But you can make a fresh green with garlic and onion and some cumin and some natural celery instead of the seed. You can put some ginger slices in there. And when you do
Mm.
it with a little thyme, fennel seed, things that people don't even think about, when you soak those greens in that, they have a flavor. So basically,
Mm.
I love smoked turkey, and I grew up having the greens with ham hock. But when you know better, you do better. Why have a
Right.
ham and why have a turkey? And then you take all your vegetables and put that same meat in it. How about
Right.
using onions and garlic and cumin and ginger? So now you got something clean, right?
Mm.
You put turkey on your plate. Why put the greens with turkey?
Mm.
Because you can get seasoning from a vegetable base that you create, from
Mm.
vegetables. I grew up on eating it with things, and I said, let me do it. My mother picked stuff from the gardens, and she made her greens, her turnip greens and stuff with actual turnips and actual, vegetables. So I started doing that because it's like now I have turkey in a roast and greens with meat in it. So why wouldn't I just have meat and then clean vegetables? So that's a start.
Mm. Okay.
And when you're making roast and things and turkeys, I see a lot of people put the base and this and that. How about lemon and onion and like natural herbs and marinade, which is a
Mm.
key to a lot of stuff. If you read
Mm.
the ingredients on bouillon and everything, it has a lot of salt. So we're trying to
Hmm.
cut out, just use natural stuff. One year I made orange turkey, and I sliced all these oranges and lemons and garlic, and I marinated and cooked it in a bag. And it was amazing. And they was like, what did you use? And I kept saying, I just really used fruit that I didn't want to go bad. I had so many bags of oranges. I'm like,
Okay.
Chinese food make orange chicken. Let me make orange turkey. So it's really a
Okay.
mindset and
Okay.
experimentation. And the other thing I wanted to share today, they have in season purple yams, which are deep. You heard of
Nice.
the term, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. It applies to vegetables and fruit. like blackberries and blueberries have so many,
Right.
natural cleansers in them and detoxing agents. So does the black yam, the dark purple, like it's dark. And so when you cook them and you put a little bit of coconut oil and a little bit of ginger and you just
Hmm.
bake it slow, then the actual yam comes alive. I was taught by my
Okay.
granddad to make yams and pies. And so he cut them up and he put, and I love them. May he rest in peace. I mean, if he was to make some today, I would eat them, you know. And some of my clients requested that way. But for me, I'll do a nice yam and I may
Hmm.
put some lemon juice or some fresh squeezed orange juice, like squeeze the oranges on it, chop
Okay.
up some ginger. And honey is really highly saturated because it's concentrated, but just a tad bit. You know how you put it in the squirt bottle and you just do the lines and stuff, and you bake
Okay.
it with coconut oil or real butter. So the myth to butter
Okay.
is high fructose corn syrup is in those artificial butters. Like I'm not naming names, but they might say butter
Right.
this and butter that. But if you're using a real country butter, olive oil or coconut and a little bit, not a lot, and you bake it, then the real sweetness of the actual vegetable rises to the top.
Mhm.
So it's all
Okay.
in the inside. So back to my theory. The inside of the potato is rising to the top. The skin has a lot of vitamins. So now you're taking care of yourself from the inside, then out, just like the potato.
Outside.
It's really good by
Okay, that
yourself,
makes
like,
sense.
you know. But then people kill it. Oh, I'm gonna put the sugar,
Right.
the marshmallow. I did it too, but when you know
All
better, you
right.
do better. Marshmallow, sugar,
Right.
brown sugar, honey, and
Yeah.
then you eat this big thing
Yes.
of sweet. You just might as well just eat some sugar, you know.
Right.
Use
Right.
fruit, like maybe apricot, which has
Okay.
so much flavor. Maybe plums. Every fruit that we have by nature has a sweetness. Some are bitter. And then the other sickening thing, like lemonade, people make lemonade iced tea, more sugar. How about having a fresh tea? You know, like a hot tea on
Hmm.
Thanksgiving with apples.
Okay.
Actually, you get a tea that has a cleansing agent to wash the sweet potato pie and the pound cake down. It doesn't have to be a sweet tea, just tea. Just tea. That's why
Right.
in other cultures, like Asian cultures, they might serve tea or soup first, and they're
Yeah.
already working on the digestion of the food. You know.
You've got some great tips. Matter of fact, one person said they didn't realize that about yams. So we appreciate those tips. And so, like we said, next week is Thanksgiving. So, what's your favorite dish during the season to make?
I never have a favorite dish, but I make lamb chops.
Okay.
I make a stuffed rockfish. I love everything
Mm,
about cooking. I make a rosemary thyme filet mignon for my clients.
that sounds good.
Because I know people do turkey at home a lot, I started doing different turkeys then to offer them something different, like a jerk turkey or curry
Okay.
turkey or lemon basil or
Ooh,
rosemary
now that
thyme.
sounds good.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Again, I buy pounds of herbs and cook them. And my clients that say, "Oh, girl, you better put some smoked turkey in there," and I'm like, "Why? Okay, you buying a smoked turkey from me? Just eat the grains and put a slice of turkey on top." But because they're seasonal, so one of my things
Right.
to do is to introduce every year. I used to do it for free, and now I'm tapped out for free, but I still give. Meaning, like if I tell a person 6 vegetables like sauteed mushrooms or stuffed mushroom caps for the holiday, they're like, "No, I want
Hmm.
this, that, and that." I used to give them a sample free, right? Now, my orders for Thanksgiving is, "Can I get your stuffed mushrooms? Can I get asparagus?
Mm,
Can I get the rockfish?" You know, I specialize in seafood, so
nice.
it's a rockfish. I have orders for lobster mac, crab mac, but I have tons of orders for the greens. And now, over time, they're saying, "Don't put the meat in it. They were really good last time." So I throw vegetables in there, like turnips and squash. Like you sneak it in, like you had to do with your children when they were young. You sneak the vegetables into something. So that's my greatest thing to do, to incorporate more vegetables and explore vegetables and let people know, like beets. are really good. Like we do the cranberry sauce. So I may do a tray of
Okay.
cranberry sauce and a tray of sliced, really thin, fresh beets, you know? And then now they're eating
Okay.
beets, which is a detoxifier and is really good for your
Yeah.
bloodstream. And they're eating cranberries. So
Yeah.
it's 50-50. So my challenge and my greatest thing to do is to every time crowd out. And crowd out means you can put really things that may not be healthy, like mac and cheese and stuff, and we love that. But the more vegetables, so your plate should look like veggie,
Okay.
meat. So you're crowding
Okay.
out, you're not taking away. You're able to eat everything you want. And I started doing smaller portions. So when I do plated meals, I give people 2 little pieces of this and that and that. So now they really get to enjoy everything that was on the menu. And then they can take something and have something for tomorrow. You don't have to. I used to do it. Now I'm not judging. My grandfather, I'd be like, oh my God, mac and cheese, the roast, give me a lamb. And the belly, you couldn't eat it all, so you trashed it. So you end up wasting. So now I just get, the traditional. And so I try to teach people to less, small portions.
Right. And so, Chef, it sounds like you're really taking and helping to re-educate the palate of your customers as well by giving them what they're used to and then throwing in something that they didn't expect that their palate will come to enjoy. So that is very,
Absolutely.
very creative.
Yeah. Yeah. We really appreciate that. And so as we begin to wrap it up here, is there any final words that you want to give to our audience as we continue to have discussion about clean holiday eating?
Yes, I wanted to first throw in something that I will be cooking some of the things like the greens and the yams. I'm going to make a sweet potato pie that has coconut oil and fresh yams, and I'll upload it to the Tompkins on the Living Well show so they can share with all of you. And my gift to
Awesome.
everyone is I'll do a recipe, and you can upload it, and I'll make sure you get it by Wednesday so you can have time to prepare. That'll be my holiday gift as
Oh,
well
awesome.
as
Thank you.
yes.
We
But I
appreciate
want to
that.
say that this is a time we just made it through COVID, and God is on the throne, asking everyone to make peace with people in your family that you may have been estranged from or not speaking to. Not saying that if some people you do have to let go, but pray and welcome all the joy into everyone and pick up the phone and call someone that you may have walked away from because now we have to do over supernatural forgiveness and prayers and love.
Yeah.
And that may make a whole life change for someone. So reach out. Call 10 people that you haven't spoke to. Send them an email. Just send some love. Don't say, well, just send love. I'm studying integrative nutrition, holistic health. And
Nice.
you can eat all the kale in the world you want and all the healthy food, but until you have peace and joy with relationships, you will always be unhealthy.
That's
It's
good.
true.
That's
It's
good.
true.
We appreciate that.
Because we are body, soul, and spirit. So it's not just enough to eat well. Like you said, if you have unforgiveness, that's eating away at your health. And so you can drink all the greens and all the wheatgrass, but inside those emotions are what are keeping you sick at this point. So that is awesome. I am so thankful for the information that you shared and how you've incorporated food and healthy lifestyle, focusing especially on relationships with others and ourselves, because it is vitally important. And we focus a lot on the physical aspect, but we don't often focus on the emotional and the spiritual aspect of our being. Mhm.
And
Yes.
so, Chef, we appreciate your time together today. So how can persons contact you or follow you? I know you're on Instagram. So what's your information for our audience to follow you?
So let me give you first my phone number because I'm real personal. It's 202-246-7436. The best way to reach me is a text. Just like
Okay.
when I'm cooking, I put the phone up on the stand and people text and say, hi, I heard about this, and I respond. My Instagram is ARTIZ Catering. I'm going to get better this year as far as posting things, but if you send me a message on Instagram, my Facebook is my name, Yvette Tompkins. My website is soulfooddc.com. If you just want to see a little bit about things, and it's real limited because I'm a creative. Everything I do is custom. So you go to the website, it might seem basic, but you call me and ask me to make you some oxtail stuff with peanuts and stuff, I can do it. So text me on my phone, just say, hey, I wanted to find out about this, and I will respond. I look at texts more than I look at anything else.
Okay, that's good to know.
Certainly. Well, we were following you. We appreciate your time. And go ahead, Shanique, and take us out.
Well, like I said, Chef, you have been awesome with integrating healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle, helping our audience on today. We definitely thank you in advance for the bonus gift of the recipes. We look forward to that because we know that our audience will appreciate having a different dish on the table this year for Thanksgiving. So we thank you. And then to our audience, we hope that you have learned something today that will help you to be better, to do better, and to live better, because that's certainly our mission and goal here at Living Well Show. So we thank you all for being here tonight. We ask that you follow Chef Yvette on her Instagram. Send her a text, especially if you're in the DMV area, because she's in your neighborhood.
That's right.
And be sure to like and share this episode with someone else. We love you all. We appreciate you. We're praying for your families during this holiday season. And we look forward to seeing you again next week right here on the Living Well Show. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.